How the hell are you going to talk about people having orthorexia? Don't you know you have it too, motherfucker? Look at your fucking videos. The evidence is all there and shit. Stop it. Be normal. Fit into society. And shit. Well, I'm back. You know, it was a nice little vacation. I needed to take the time to get in touch with myself again. Because I do feel I have been teetering on the ledge of orthorexia. So I wanted to go over orthorexia because some of you may not be aware of this. It's not a recognized diagnosis, but I have actually met and seen a person severely orthorexic. And we're going to go over today what that is, whether or not I am, classifiable as orthorexic. It is an eating disorder. It is detrimental if left unchecked. It can have profound health effects. It can lead to other eating disorders in addition. And in our food environment, which damn near everything has some kind of taint to it nowadays, it's really, like I said, it's every time I dip my toe in this optimal health realm, I tend to discover that we're fucked. And it's very depressing, and it takes a lot of wind out of my sails, and I feel like I'm just fighting this uphill battle, with only a few other people fighting the battle, and this big, gigantic fucking army is about to crush our asses. And we really need to take a step back. And I like to think of myself as someone who's self-aware. I am always examining how I am, how others may be perceiving the things I'm doing, and how it affects me socially, how it affects me relationship-wise. And I am by far not perfect in these realms. In fact, I would argue some of my biggest flaws are in relationships and in, socialness. I am a very social creature, don't get me wrong. But I tend to keep a lot of people at arm's length. I tend to crave solace and solitude from time to time. That comes from years of trucking, I think. And, and I do believe I'm teetering on the brink of becoming orthorexic, in which case it will have profound effects socially. And, we're social creatures, and that's one of the foundations of health. Is being social, is having friends and family and people to, support what you're doing, to some ride or dies, and I do have a few ride or dies, and I don't want to lose them. So this past week I took some time to reflect some. But first, let's go over orthorexia and what it is and whether or not I fucking qualify. It's it's a pretty close one on this one, I gotta admit. I gotta take this out of my other ear and shit to, because there are some OCD people that are watching this. Sorry, I'm obsessed with the OCD-ness of the knots in my shit. The knot's gone, I think. Yeah, I didn't really check. Orthorexia. Although not formally recognized in the this is from nationaleatingdisorders.org. So yeah, it's bloggy, but they have a thing, and their thing is all of these eating disorders, and it's not focused on orthorexia, but it does identify orthorexia as an eating disorder. And if any of this is ringing any bells or any alarms are going off, you need to pay attention not only to this, but to yourself and your relationships and people around you and your health, because there are some things that we just shouldn't cut out of our lives. And I get a lot of comments from people who are also in probably maybe even over the ledge of orthorexia, but are definitely straddling the line like I have been. And, maybe I already fell off the cliff. Let's find out. The term orthorexia was coined in 1998 and means an obsession with proper or healthful eating. Although being aware of and concerned with the nutritional quality of the food you eat isn't a problem in and of itself, people with orthorexia become so fixated on so-called healthy eating that they actually damage their own well-being. Now, this damage, this is close. I'm close on this one. I've had friendships affected by it. Now, some people, I could argue that there's some people I've helped because of this that have, gotten on board and, are improving their health. So yes, there's, a balance there, I think, between, sacrificing some of my own mental health to give someone else better physical health. So yeah, there's a kind of a line. I've been walking there and I've noted it. And I know it socially. And I know that there's some people out there that don't want to fucking hear what I got to say. They're happy and comfortable in their unhealthy lives, and they don't want to even fucking think about it. They'll throw the dice like many of us do, see if they get to the finish line, and they're going to be on pills. Yeah, they're going to have health problems. Yeah, they're going to have to go to the doctor. But a lot of people are, I guess, okay with that and want to just live their life and be what they perceive as pleasured and happy. And if more power to them. I feel bad because of the health epidemic and the fact that it is bringing down our healthcare system. And I know that there's, I try to help as many people as I can who want to feel better, who want to snap out of that shit, who want to get off of this treadmill hamster wheel fucking method of getting sick from the food industry, then getting thrown into the pharmaceutical industry, and then, ending our life in the healthcare industry completely. In the vis-a-vis a nursing home and shit. And I don't want to walk that path, but I realize that there are people in the world that give no fucks whatsoever about this shit. I used to be one of them. If you go to my earlier videos, I was like, I've eaten Pop-Tarts like no tomorrow. And I've come a long way, and I'm happy with how far I've come. But there has to be a point where I go, oh shit! There's the cliff. I gotta stop before I go over the fucking cliff. And that's right where I'm at right now, I believe, in terms of the cliff, and I believe that line at the cliff is optimal health. And you want to get as close to that line as you can get without going over the cliff. Because when you go over the cliff, it will deeply affect you socially. It could affect your health, as in you might not be eating a certain food that you've deemed unhealthy, and you might need that food, or you might be a big supplement whore with like tens of fucking, thousands of dollars spent in supplements every month. There's all kinds of things that you can go down a rabbit hole when you go over that line, and I'm aware of that because I know somebody who's done it already. I'm not a fan of this person, and if they're watching, they probably know who the fuck I'm talking about. But however, I am very aware that this person can't really control that. And that's where it becomes orthorexia, when you have no control over it, when you're incapable of eating anything that you perceive as unhealthy. And I'm not there yet. You know, I could go and eat a bowl of fucking pasta knowing it's filled with glyphosate, knowing it's going to cause me to gain weight. I'm going to feel like shit afterwards. You know, it's going to take 3 to 7 days to recover from that. And I'm not saying I'm never going to eat these fucking foods again. I'm very put off by the whole glyphosate thing, but I also acknowledge that for the past 3 years, I've probably been eating plenty of this shit, and I'm not dead. Doesn't mean it's not going to cause me problems down the road. I think I've drastically diminished my exposure to that problem, and I do believe that that's not an orthorexic problem. That is a deep problem in our food supply that needs to be fucking addressed. And when you look around at autism, when you look around at autoimmune disease, and I do believe we need to take a deeper dive into gut health. But at the same time, we do have to live our lives. We do have to, you know, not isolate ourselves completely with our pursuit of health. And one of the reasons I had to take a step back this week is I was doing that. I was literally, I'd wake up, I'd start out with some research, I'd start out with some videos of, you know, different talking heads about different topics that I'm currently working on for the channel. Then I would make the video, then I would respond to comments, then I would do all, and I would literally spend, and I'm carrying around this fucking thing all around and being like, hey, you know, what do they do? And I'd be responding on there, you know, and I can't get to everybody. I try. I can't keep up. But it was consuming me socially. Like, I would literally be in this room most of the time. I wouldn't get out. I did try to get out a lot over the break and, you know, really kind of interact with people. But I do realize it is taking its toll on some of my personal relationships. And people are tolerant because they know the results I've gotten from it. They know how far I've come. They've seen, you know, old me versus today. And they like the results, that they don't want to be preached at. They don't want to, you know, hear the shit that pretty much dominates every fucking thought in my head. And that's where I'm at that cliff. Because I need to remember that there's other interests that I have, other things that are important to me that have very little to do with nutrition. And when nutrition becomes the dominating force in your fucking head, it's time to take a step back and go, okay, here I am, there's the cliff. Now I need to do something to not go over that cliff. And that's why I don't believe I'm orthorexic yet, because I'm still able to do that. But if you come to a point where you can't stop yourself from going over the cliff, where you will not compromise, you will not fucking deal with anything, and anybody that doesn't, agree or see things your orthorexic fucking way is an asshole, and you want nothing to do with them, and you treat them like shit, you know, that's when you go over the line. That's when the things start to crumble in your life. And, you know, me, I'm also part about lifestyle. That's why I went minimalist. I want contentment, not pleasure, but contentment. And, you know, I've come a long way. I'm not as anxious as I used to be. In fact, my anxiety levels, I would say, are almost non-existent. It's weird. I know, sounds weird. I don't worry. I don't spend time consuming with thoughts of worry or trying to prevent shit. I generally address things as they happen, which was not how I used to be. I used to constantly do things to try and prevent shit. And then I learned that, hey, I need to just deal with it when it happens. And, you know, it's going to happen. There's nothing you can do to stop shit from happening. So you have to fucking just deal with it as it comes instead of trying to prevent it from coming. And some would argue that this nutrition journey is along those lines of preventing, you know, an unhealthy outcome. But I'm also aware that I could die tomorrow. I could get hit by a bus. I could fall off a cliff. I could do all kinds of, there's things I do that aren't necessarily safe that, you know, could make all of this nutrition just, irrelevant you know, and we have to be aware of that. There's a lot of things we do in our life, particularly driving. If you look at the statistics there, you know, it's, you know, why bother being healthy if you're likely to die on the fucking road, you know? So I understand both sides of this argument. I've lived on both sides of the argument now. And now I've tried to evaluate where that leaves me standing today. Without formal diagnostic criteria, it's difficult to get an estimate on precisely how many people have orthorexia, blah, blah, blah. Okay, yeah, they don't know. Came with a little video. Let's go through that.
Recovery is real. Help is available.
Clean eating and shit.
So when eating healthfully takes up a larger space in one's head, and all their actions, social, relational, are wedged on being able to get foods that are healthy according to their rules.
And I am definitely guilty of that. It's definitely something that it does embrace most of my thoughts. I've found myself, you know, when people are talking to me socially, that I occasionally steer the conversation into that direction. And I'm aware of it, but it doesn't really, I still do it. So that's why I know I'm bordering on this, is because there's still a little bit of a lack of self-control there. I get sucked into these things. If anybody even mentions something nutritional or health related, my brain just fills with this information I want to pass to them. And I know I need to get the message out, but then people tend to not hear you when you're just always saying the same shit all the time. So it's that balance that I'm struggling with, I guess. And, you know, running this channel and helping so many of you and seeing the positive results kind of reinforces that behavior. But at the same time, it could cost me socially. So I'm, you know, trying to straddle it. It's a difficult problem. It's one that I don't have the answer to. You're not going to find the answer to this in this video. You're going to see what I'm going to try and do to take steps to not go down all the way down this road. But, you know, it's not an easy thing. And that's one of the reasons I had to take a step back this last week.
It interferes with the quality of their life, their ability to be spontaneous, their aliveness, potentially their health, and ultimately can be fatal. So the degree to which one is obsessive around food needing to be healthy, where it comes from, how it's prepared, the ingredients, the degree to which that interferes with the quality of their life, that's the degree that someone is suffering from orthorexia, which is a little different from our other eating disorders.
So yeah, when you start to notice the problems, and I have been, you start to notice these things that shouldn't be problems, shouldn't be issues, shouldn't be causing anything, and I'm trying to be better about it, which is probably the first step is in, you know, fixing something like this, is to identify the problem and then do something to try and change it, which is how I've approached everything. And I'm trying to remain, you know, in control of my behavior and my thoughts, and like I said, being self-aware is important. Knowing your effect on people, you know, and it's not everyone's capable of that. I know people that are completely not self-aware at all. And, you know, I don't know why, but to me, I've always been kind of aware of, even though that awareness doesn't necessarily stop my behavior, like drinking, for example. I've always been aware that I suck when I get drunk. But that never stopped me. And it's starting to, you know, that was an addiction problem. It takes a little bit of effort and willpower to fix those problems. And I think that's probably what needs to be applied here in my life.
Orthorexia nervosa is not a clinically recognized diagnosis in the DSM-5. Instead, it is a term that was coined by Stephen Brotman in 1996 to help patients understand the impact of being overly obsessed with healthy eating and how it's not actually as beneficial as they may have originally thought.
So, you know, you can check out the rest of that video at nationaleatingdisorders.org if you want to continue and you feel that you're down, that you're also, or maybe you're already in this rabbit hole, don't deny it if you are. We tend to live in self-denial. We don't want to think that we've been doing something wrong. I argue all the time that if you're unable to question yourself, if you're unable to take a step fucking back and say, I'm fucking up, I need to fucking do something to stop fucking up, then you will continue down a self-destructive path. And I don't want to continue down a self-destructive path, which I do believe I was on. So, warning signs and symptoms of orthorexia. Let's figure out how many of these fit me. And you should also ask yourself, how many of these fit you? And I'm going to be very intent on the comments to this video because I want to know. I do see some tendencies in the comments along these lines. And I want to know if you guys are self-aware. And I want to raise that awareness to make sure that we don't go over the cliff, because over the cliff is not a happy place. It is not a place of contentment. It is not a place of everybody being happy. It's often a place of conflict. It's a place of isolation. It's a place of misery. And I've seen it. And that's one of the reasons I'm even aware of it, is because I know the person that has gone through this. And I don't want to walk in his shoe steps. And I was walking down the same fucking path recently. So, I'm going to go over what this means for the channel going forward, but at the same time, I want us all to be aware that we can easily get sucked down this path, because every stepping stone on my journey leaps to the next stepping stone. Right now I'm on gut health. Right now I'm on the immune system, and then, how do we fix that? And then once you realize you can do something to fix that, then it shows you the next problem. And, it started out with me, I'm pissing sugar. I'm pre-diabetic. My A1C's creeping up. What do I do about it? I'm overweight. Actually, I was obese. And what do I do about all of this? And that's how my journey progressed. Like, I'd solve one problem and then another one shows up, that being hunger, which is why I went to keto, and I just kept these stepping stones, and I haven't stopped that. And I don't want to stop learning. I don't want to stop evolving. I want to keep up with everything, but I don't want to go over the cliff. The cliff being where it becomes detrimental to my life, detrimental to my relationships, and really brings me away from contentment and into misery and isolation. And that's kind of, in today's society where the majority of people are still eating pretty fucking unhealthy, you can become isolated if you are very super rigid in all of these things, and that you criticize those around you who aren't on your journey, because, you obviously you do it out of some, caring for the person. But at the same time, they don't want to hear it. And if you keep telling them shit they don't want to hear, they don't want to be around you. They don't want to listen to you. They don't want nothing to do with you. And, that is the danger of this. I can get on here and talk all day. You guys are here to hear this shit. But not everybody around you wants to hear this shit. They're not ready for it. Some people will not do this journey until they figure out how bad their health has become. Some people are just going to walk like lemmings over the cliff of health. And then once they're there, once they've fallen off the cliff, they're going to be like, oh, fuck, I'm falling. What do I do? And then they're going to come here, and then they'll listen to what I have to say. Some people have to find their failure first. They have to hit the wall. They have to be on all these medications. They have to be obese. They have to realize they have a problem. And then they have to want the solution bad enough to make the changes necessary to become healthy. And that's kind of what I want to encourage. I don't want to encourage optimal health, going over the cliff, not eating all these foods because they're fucking bad for you. I'm trying to find a balance in that process without compromising my health. And another step is being aware of just how healthy you are. Me, I really don't have a lot of unhealthy things going on right now. Most of it is mental health related. The rest is physically, I am pretty much on point. Occasional cramps left aside. Knowing that my health is on point, that I am, not on any medication. My blood work is fine. My weight is fine. I don't look like a fitness model. Take your shirt off, motherfucker. But body weight wise, I'm good. I am normal. I'm not having any metabolic syndrome symptoms of any kind. My blood sugar is normal. My energy levels are good. But that's all, I got to realize I'm here. I'm already here. I'm healthy currently. Long term, that's a question mark. But if I spend all my time trying to prevent the long term, it's going to cause problems in the here and now. And that's the balance I'm struggling with. So, how many of these do I meet? Compulsive checking of ingredients lists and nutritional labels. Yep, I do that. And I encourage that, actually. So, I don't know if it's a qualifying thing. It's not really a compulsion. I do so voluntarily. And I would say, I've started to question restaurants I go to too. But I do understand that whenever I eat in a restaurant, it's not healthy. No matter how healthy it looks, there's problems. And I still eat there. So I know I'm not orthorexic yet, because if I was orthorexic, I wouldn't go. I wouldn't go at all. If I got invited socially, I'd sit there and drink my water or drink my coffee and fast my way through it. So there's that. Sorry, I'm getting texted during the fucking recording and shit. But I'm gonna not I'm dealing with the compulsion to not look at my fucking phone right now. It's a hard one. It's another thing that we need to work on in life. An increase in concern about the health of ingredients. That's me too, look at the glyphosate thing. So yeah, I checked that one off. I do have a deep concern. And I think it's a well-founded concern because of the food industry, because of their prioritizing the dollar sign over our personal and public health. That needs to come to a head. I am not going to change in that. I'm aware that it is a symptom, but I am not classifying myself as orthorexic based on that particular symptom, because there is a very big need to raise public awareness. If you look at our health problems, if you look at the health care crisis, if you look at that, most people are sick in some severe way, and it could mostly be related to our nutrition. That is something we need to address. And if we don't do it on our level, no one's going to help us with that. There's nobody higher up in the tier of healthcare, nutrition, and all of that who's going to get it done. We have to do it here. We have to do it ourselves. And so we can't just sit on our hands and be like, oh, okay, I can't. So what if that ingredient, we have to be aware. We have to understand. It's, letting that awareness and understanding interfere with our lives. That is a severe problem. Cutting out an increasing number of food groups, all sugar, all carbs, all dairy, all meat, all animal products. They pretty much just hit every fucking diet you can think of right there. Pretty much you're orthorexic if you're keto, you're orthorexic if you're a vegan, you're orthorexic if you're anti-sugar. I'm sorry, but that's not kind of how I look at it. I'm not cutting out carbs necessarily. There are some carbohydrates within the tolerance of my body that do get consumed. I haven't gone carnivore fully yet, so there's still, I've probably lowered my carb count since I stopped the vegetables, which would put me right in that cutting out food shit. But that's experimental. It's not permanent, I don't think, unless I notice some serious difference in if I feel better, and I already feel pretty all right, pretty good health-wise. But if I feel better without the veg, if it solves some minor issue that I may have here and there, if overall my energy's good, if I feel good, and I feel pretty good today, I should state that. then, it's experimental. It's elimination. It's trying to figure out what I can and can't eat and what has an acute effect. It's really hard to figure out what has a long-term effect. You don't know until you've done something for years whether or not it's having a long-term effect. And unfortunately, that given the state of science today, that's pretty much what we're left with. We can experiment, we can find our groove for the acute stuff, and then hope that we rolled the dice right for the fucking long-term shit. And I'm fully aware of that. I'm a realistic motherfucker when it comes to that. I know that maybe keto could have long-term, when you do it for 10 years, could have long-term consequences. But I would argue there's evidence that suggests that, long-term, over the long period of time, you will be better off than the standard American diet and what it has to offer you long-term. I think we've got a pretty well-established, proven result when it comes to the standard American diet. So any diet that takes you out of that is going to markedly improve your health. And it's being aware of that's important. So it's not a driving force cutting out specific foods. It's experimental. It's like, what does taking this out of the diet do? What does bringing it back in after it's been gone a while do? I frequently do that, and I will continue to do that. There'll still be an occasional pasta in my life. I'm very put off by it right now. But that's not to say I'm not going to sit down and have a bowl of pasta at some point. It's not going to be every week. It's not going to be every month even. It might be a couple months. It might be 6 months before I try and sit down and have a cheat meal. I like not being addicted to the shit. It took me a while to conquer that addiction, and I don't want to go back. And I have an addictive personality, another one of my flaws. And I do know that I can get sucked into things, and I think I was sucked into this health thing, and I obsess about it, and that's my issue. It's being aware of this shit is the only way you're going to fix it. If you're not aware, you ain't going to fucking do shit. You're not going to give shits about anybody telling you shit. That's kind of how it works in shit. An inability to eat anything but a narrow group of foods that are deemed healthy and pure. This is not me. I eat things sometimes that I know are bad. When I go to a restaurant, I know there's bad in there. I try to minimize it. I take steps. But bottom line, if somebody puts a plate of unhealthy shit in front of me, and they're being generous and they're trying to, it's a social thing usually that this occurs. I try not to be an asshole. I, will do the best to stay as close to my guidelines as possible, with maybe allowing a little of unhealth to creep into the picture. I'm not opposed to long-term, occasional multi-month gaps in between them cheat days. So I don't feel that this, I don't have this symptom. So there's that. But tell me, what do you think? Unusual interest in the health of what others are eating. I'm guilty of that. I'm always evaluating. I'm always looking around, what are they eating? How is their health? What are they eating? How is their health? And I do notice patterns in that. I do notice that certain foods are ever present in certain forms of health problems. And, that's more of a research standpoint. I don't criticize people openly unless they know really well what I'm about, and a lot of them talk shit and taunt me with it. So there's that. But for the people who I have just met or that I don't know on a personal level, I tend to just keep my thoughts to myself on that. But I do observe, and I use that knowledge here on this channel as part of the data that I gather to come to the conclusions I do. Spending hours per day thinking about what food might be served at upcoming events. I do not do that. I always assume that the upcoming event is not going to have anything I can eat healthily. And then I just make a decision on how I want to deal with that. Sometimes I fast through those situations. Sometimes I bring a food that I can eat, or, if there is a food that I can eat there, I focus on that food. There's usually some kind of pepperoni cheese plate or some other shit that I can survive with. Lately, I've noticed a change in party landscapes. I've seen like bacon wrapped scallops, which is not healthy, by the way. The scallops are processed meats and have problems, but I still eat the motherfucker. So I'm definitely not orthorexic. I eat unhealthy shit. There are things in the keto diet that are unhealthy that I do partake of. And that's not going to change, except for maybe the 30-day carnivore experiment, which is coming soon. So we'll just have to see. Showing high levels of distress when safe or healthy foods aren't available. I do not fit that criteria. I do not stress. I don't beat myself up if I've had an unhealthy food. I just get on the horse and say, this is what I got to do to fix that. It's really down to that science of, I know how to fix it. I know I used to eat this way my whole life. And I think that's where my lack of sensitivity to is, because I got so far eating the standard American diet. And it wasn't until, my 30s that it really, really started to rear its ugly head. And then had I continued, I would be in the same healthcare treadmill that a lot of people are my age and higher or older are in. And, I recognize it, and it's that self-awareness thing again. It's like, okay, it's starting to get a little uncomfortable, and, and then you fix it. So I do not have distress. I don't get upset. I find that the people around me tend to get more upset about food than I do. It does not bother me to watch people eat or to even eat unhealthy. I do note it. It does enter my thoughts. If they say something in the realm of nutrition, my thoughts are there. They're ready to come out. So there's that I have to work on. But I try to keep my mouth shut. There's people I know have had heart trouble that are drinking soda, and and the alarm bells and fucking my head's ready to explode watching them do that. But at the same time, I don't say anything. I've said my piece to them at least once, and everyone that knows me has heard my spiel at least once. So, and then I don't feel the need to dwell on it. I said it. They're not ready for it. They don't want to do it. They're living with the consequences. It's their life. I've tried to increase their awareness. Some people don't believe me. Some people don't buy into it. And there's nothing I can do to change that. Like I said, most people have to arrive there on their own. They have to realize they're fucking up and want to do something about it. And it's usually not until it's too late in a lot of cases. Or they've dug themselves so deep into the hole, it's going to take years to reverse. And that's the problem that I wish I could say, hey, look, motherfucker, don't do it. Stop now while you still have most of your health. But at the same time, that I do realize that is a little futile with some people. And it's also isolating when you do that. When someone who's not ready to hear this, don't give a shit about it, and you're sitting there preaching, they don't want to be around you. They don't want to hear it. They're not ready for the information. They haven't come there on their personal journey. Some people are lucky. They get through their whole life like that. I wouldn't say lucky. They still have the health problems at the end, but they just feel that's how it goes. This is the way normally is. Obsessive following of foods, healthy lifestyle blogs on Twitter and Instagram. While I do not look at that on Twitter and Instagram, I am definitely guilty of that here on YouTube. I do constantly consume, and part of it is work. I want to know what the trends are out there in our community, and we are a community here on YouTube. Even the vegans, they're not my favorite part of the community, but it is what it is. And I do believe that just because I disagree with them doesn't mean that they should be shut down, doesn't mean that they should shut the fuck up. I believe everyone should have the right to express their opinions and the research and their journeys, and that it's up to individuals to decide who the fuck they want to follow, who the hell they want, whose advice they give a shit about. And, you know, I'm not trying to, you know, slam vegans. The only thing that I slam vegans on is it's the things I disagree on. It's my opinion. If they gave their opinion, I give my opinion, and I leave it at that. I'm not trying to like shut them down. Some vegans need to learn that. Some vegans need to understand that just because somebody eats animals doesn't mean you have to destroy them and shut them down and stop them. They must be stopped. No. And the vegans are having an impact on our health. And I wouldn't say a positive one. But I'm not trying to stop them. They're saying their piece. I'm saying my piece. It is up to the individual to decide who. I'm not trying to manipulate one way or another. You know, we choose what works for us. I encourage self-experimentation. If you want to be a vegan, try being a vegan. If you want to be a keto, try being a keto. If you just want to try and just fast your way through the standard American diet, there's that crowd too. And some of those people are here on this channel, and I realize that. But my journey has taken me past that point. And just realize you're at a part of the journey that you might be beneficial to watch my earlier shit, where that was what I was all about. But you'll see that on this journey, it has evolved to where I am today. And now that I'm here, health-wise, in my opinion, I've stopped kind of weighing myself all the time, you know, and keeping track. And, you know, I still keep up with the tape measure. I'm at 34.75 inches, a little on the high side. I'm still going to do fasts, longer fasts. I'm currently doing a fat fast today. I haven't put a time limit on. I don't know how long I'll go. I'll go till I feel like eating, you know. And it's not, you know, I do know that fasting's a necessity as far as health is concerned, so that's why I do it. I'm not trying to lose weight. I'm not trying to gain weight. I'm not trying to do anything right now. I just want to maintain. I want to maintain the good health that I found. Is it perfect? No. Is it good enough? Yes. That's where I'm at. And I hope you all get here too. I hope you all are able to get past our very difficult public health situation in our food environment and find that place that, you know, some people want that optimal health. Good luck. I know it's not attainable. I've thoroughly dug into the food environment, and unless you live in the middle of fucking nowhere with your own food, livestock, and gardening, and even then, there's problems that can arise in that. It's not a perfect system either. Nature has a way of fucking with us. So unless you're doing that, there's unhealthy shit in your life, and it's going to cause problems. And we are remarkable creatures. We're able to handle this shit. Our bodies are ready to deal with this shit. So let our bodies do that. And sometimes, you know, our body being insulted by these things makes us stronger, you know. And so that's why I'm not opposed to an occasional cheat day long term. As long as it's not every fucking weekend, not, you know, not all the time. But at the same time, it's nice to see, you know, for your body to go, oh shit, we got to fix that right now. And then you let it do its job and give it time to do its job. If you're constantly putting these insults to your body, then you're not giving your body time to fix things. You're not giving your body time to recover. And your body has a tendency to prepare for the next time. And so I do believe there is a place for occasional insults in our diet. I think it is healthy. Nature has a way of fucking insulting you. If you were out in nature, living in the woods, off the land, occasionally your health is going to be assaulted. Your ability to recover from that is largely determined by how often you've been insulted in the past. You know what I'm talking about? As far as sickness, exposure to certain bacteria, diseases, so on and so forth. You know, all of these things build your immunity, build up a healthier system. If you spend all this time trying to prevent shit without occasional insults to that system, we're way over the quota on that, by the way. That's why we have a public health problem. We're constantly insulting our immune system and our gut biota. It's, we need to take that back a step, I believe, a lot of steps actually. And, at the same time, that doesn't mean we should go as sterile or how, perfect gut health as we should try to get. We do need occasional invaders to keep things going. It's a balance. Nature is all about balance. There's a reason for every fucking thing in nature. Everything in nature serves a purpose, including the bad shit. For every bad shit, there's some good shit. There's a whole lot of shit and shit. Body image concerns may or may not be present. So as you can see, I can, and they're not present in me. As you can see, there's a lot of things I can put a check mark next to on this list. It just goes on to say that there's no treatment for this. And that's where I kind of left with. I know I'm there, almost there, and I don't want to be there. I don't want to go over that cliff. And if you were able to put a check mark next to every one of those symptoms, and if you've noticed socially it's affected your relationships in a deep way, while I'm not saying compromise your health or anything of that nature, I am saying you can change the way you interact with people about it. And you can try, if they ask, then of course give them the information. But don't constantly criticize and browbeat people. Don't constantly plead with them, especially loved ones that aren't on board. And that's going to be hard because you live with these people. It's not an easy thing, to not constantly be like, are you going to eat that? You're going to fucking eat that? That's fucking going to kill you. You have any idea what that's doing to you and shit? You need to put that shit down. God damn it. How can you do this to yourself? Nobody wants to fucking hear that. All right. You need to straight up just take a breather. Let the thoughts, pass. Express them in some other way. I get to come on here on YouTube and talk shit. So if anybody's interested in hearing that shit, they can just come here and listen to it. I don't have to do it in my personal life. Maybe you need an outlet like that too. Get on YouTube. Get on social media, not necessarily on your Facebook friends, but in a platform that's a little more open, that more people can, from outside your circle of friends, can participate with you, like Facebook groups, for example, public groups and stuff. Go on into those and, let loose your criticisms on certain things. But when you start beating the people around you with this information when they're not ready to hear it, that can be a problem. I do know I've helped a few people by doing that, but I've also probably pushed a few people away. And I don't like that. So I'm trying to deal with that. So, what does that mean for the channel going forward? One of the things I did by taking a step back, let me I got a email from Dave the Baller in MSP, because he's a self-proclaimed baller. Congratulations on 7,000 subscribers almost. Well, I've actually crossed that line, 7,010, I think, this morning. I'd encourage you to put no more than 3 videos out per week so you aren't overwhelmed. And I'd encourage you to stop feeling the need to do research all the time. And I'd encourage you to fully embrace pornography rather than the horrors of dating, but I won't. But I will say this. The choice to work too much is yours and you fully own it, which makes me wonder sometimes why I feel like I'm always hearing about it. Enjoy the rest of your time off. And thank you. And he's the biggest the contributor to the channel by far. And, part of what I've done over this week off is evaluate that. How much I might be overextending myself. And that can lead to burnout. I don't want to burn out on this channel. This channel's too important. It's helping too many people. So I have to be a little more realistic. I can't put out a video every fucking day. I just can't. Because that is a entire day process, from the research part up to the preparation for shooting part, up to the filming part, then the very extensive editing part. In some cases I have done the uncut video thing, but even that is still a process, because then comes the rendering part, then comes the uploading part, then comes the sharing part, then comes the tagging part, then comes the writing the little paragraph part. All of these things consume all my time. And in that process, I've lost some of the things I enjoy to do that have absolutely no productive qualities whatsoever. I do enjoy a lot of things that are productive, and I want to learn more about cinematography. I want to start doing video that is more, cinematic, that is more, higher quality. I don't want to just be a talking head YouTuber. I want to get out there and film and to make stories and to share things. Maybe not even necessarily 100% about health and lifestyle. Maybe I just want to make something, and I'll of course share that with you guys. I know there's not as much of an interest for that, and every time I do an adventure video, I like the adventure videos though, so they're going to be there occasionally. It's not the main thing of the channel, I know. It's not why you guys are here, and it shows in the view counts for those, but I still like doing them, and I need to be able to do that to balance out my ability to do this. So I'm going to do as many videos as I feel comfortable with during the week. I'm not going to put a number on it. I will try and do a live stream every week, at least once, because I do feel communication is important, and you guys ask some good questions during those. So there's going to be live streams. However, I can't do it every single day. I just need time to do other things. I have other projects too that demand time. I am learning cinematography again. I am into that community. I am getting projects on that side of things that require some time, and that's time that's not paid. It's not any, it's just hey, I'm going to help you with this so that I can practice. And ultimately that benefits the channel long term, but I also enjoy it. And I need to be able to do things that I enjoy, because if I just spend all my time thinking about health, thinking about nutrition, watching nutrition videos, and I've done it. There's been times when I could be doing something fun like Netflix or, playing a video game or, something that just might take my mind or give my mind a chance to shift focus. But then I find myself, binge watching fucking health, speakers and presenters and scientists and doctors, and because I do get riveted in that, and it's a passion of mine. I'm still reading the book, I'm still doing all of these things, but I need to make room for non-nutritional things, non-health and wellness things. I need to find out what I'm not addressing, because while I am better than I used to be in the realm of depression, there are times when I do feel isolated, when I do feel a little bit fucked up, that maybe I need to fix, and I'm going to continue to work on that. And so I am taking things down a notch. And if you remember at the beginning when I said I was going to try and put out a video every day, that it's not set in stone. I'm not locking myself in, and this is me calling that card, so to speak. I'm going to try and strive for a certain amount of videos a week, but there might be weeks where I only get one video out. There might be weeks where I only do a live stream. There might be weeks where I get 2 videos out. There might be weeks where I get a video out every day. It's going to be random, and it's going to be based on my personal needs for mental health, for not burning out, for keeping things going. I'm not going to go back to 1 video a week, so don't panic. Don't say, oh no, motherfucker, you promised more videos and shit. I'm still going to put a lot of time into this channel. It's still going to be at least 40 hours a week. That's a no-brainer. But I think the 70-hour weeks need to go. So there's that. And I'll do the best I can. And there's things I've done to streamline that make it easier for me to put out a few more videos a week than maybe I was capable of in the past. But at the same time, I was still working the same amount of time. I just increased my efficiency so I could put out more videos in that time frame. I need to take a step back and realize I've made it efficient to the point where, yes, if I put out the 3 videos a week, that's a pretty decent balance. That's a 40-hour week, the 3 videos, depending on, how much time and research and all of that and how long they are. This is a long one. But that's okay, because there's probably not going to be a video tomorrow, so just enjoy this. Watch it in chunks. And that's kind of be the theory. A lot of my, if I did a 1-hour video 5 days a week, that's a lot of time to ask you, all of you. And not all of you are willing to spend that time watching them. So, there's some people that don't watch them because of that. And I understand that. So maybe if I don't saturate my channel with videos that are long, that it'll be easier for people to digest the videos I make. So that's where I'm at with the channel. And that was kind of what this week off was, to evaluate, to see what other interests I have that are not nutritional or channel related. I'd like to say that I was able to spend the whole week away from the topic. Not true. I was reading my book. I did watch 2 or 3 lectures, but I definitely minimized it. I just spent a lot of time doing things that had absolutely nothing to do with anything. I did work at my part-time job a little more than usual too this week. I didn't do Uber though. I was like, no, not Ubering. Fuck it. There was a couple times I was like, maybe I should Uber. No, not today. So the weather is improving. I'm going to start gearing up to be able to go out and car camp and do some of the road trip shit that I want to do. I want to do some kind of trip between now and between Carolina Rebellion, so there's going to be that, and I'll share that with you guys. That's a minimalist type thing, how to travel and not spend money, or at least not spend a lot of money. So that's where I'm at. Thank you guys for your patience for the past week. I had an overwhelming positive response, and you guys were very supportive of me taking the step back, and including some of my biggest supporters on this channel were just like, yeah, take your fucking week off. We don't, good. It's not like you don't have a fucking lot of shit for us to watch. There's a whole backlog of this shit. So, and I'm going to continue to put out videos at a more realistic pace. So that's where I'm at. What do you think in the comments? You gonna take a shit on that? You gonna be supportive of that shit? Let me know. Also, let me know what you think. Am I orthorexic? Could be. It's hard to tell. I'm definitely almost there, and I need to stop. I'm still going to be sharing the same information. I just don't want it to consume my personal life as much. So I'm taking the personal life steps. The content here on the channel is going to be the same. My opinions are going to be not changed on these things. But I just want everyone to be a little more self-aware on how it affects their personal life. Evaluate your relationships and the people around you, because many of them aren't on your journey. And how do you feel about that? What do you think you can do to help you want them to come on the journey, but they're not ready? How do you prepare them? And I would suggest patience, showing them how you feel, telling them that you're not preaching, not bragging, but more like, just kind of, oh, I don't have a problem with that. When they're sitting there for an hour telling you how they're sick and all of that, well, and then just kind of casually mention, well, I did this, and that's how I fixed that. And then leave it at that, But if you sit there and you're like, go into this long diatribe, which I don't know who the fuck does that, they're going to tune you out. And it's kind of, that will isolate you more. So just evaluate that, I would think. And that's what I'm doing for myself. So that's the realizations that my little break brought to me, and the feedback I got during that break, and I just wanted to share that with all of you. So don't know when the next video is. I'm gonna stop planning this shit. All right, I'm gonna live my life, and I'm gonna fit the channel into my life. So that's where I'm at. But what the fuck do I know? Just some orthorexic fucking truck driver. Please like and subscribe for more shit. And I'm very happy that there's 7,000 of you now. I never thought, that I would come this far when I started this channel. And some people are like, 7,000, that ain't shit. To me, that's a lot. That's a lot of people consuming. I think it was 74,000 views total on the channel last month. The last 30 days. And that's a lot of people watching me. And, when I think about it, if you think in terms of, if I were to put all of those people in a stadium, what it would look like, that's a lot of motherfuckers. So there's that. it's kind of mind-blowing sometimes when I take a step back and look at that. But it's because you guys are watching, liking, subscribing, and enjoying, and that it's helping you on your journey. That's why I'm here. And I want to take a time to thank those of you who have subscribed, most particularly those of you who subscribe and actually watch my shit. On a side note, YouTube has had a little bit of controversy on that front. There was things came out that just because you're subscribed and you click the bell doesn't mean you're going to receive a notification necessarily on every video I put out. So if you don't check the channel on your own regularly and are looking for YouTube to take care of that for you, I wouldn't do that. All right. Turns out, if you like my Facebook page, Scott the Truck Driver, I do share out my videos there. You can click through to my website in particular I would prefer, which is ScottTheTruckDriver.com. I put them in the blog there first. That's the first place I share. And then I share out that post to any other social media platforms that I currently give a shit about. Which is pretty much Facebook and Twitter. Twitter gets the least amount of my attention. I really just fire and forget. I don't really check my tweets or stare at tweets on Twitter. I don't know why. It's just never appealed to me. Even though you hear about it all the time. Instagram, I mainly do for my photography, so I don't really do a Scott the Truck Driver Instagram. I don't have time. Look at how much time this takes. I don't have time for all these platforms. So that's how you can keep up with when I post a video. If you find that YouTube ain't getting the job done and allowing you to know when I put new shit up. And that may get worse now that I'm not going to put out a video every fucking day. I heard the algorithm favors that. And, which is nice, but the amount of insanity that it takes to put out a video every day, that's going to lead to burnout and failure in the end anyway. So that's what I'm looking at there. If this video brought you value or you want to support what I do, you can go to ScottTheTruckDriver.com and leave a tip in the tip jar. I am very appreciative of those of you who have done that. You've really blown me away with your generosity, so I'm thankful for you. And you guys are the biggest reason I'm able to do this. I've been doing it 70 hours a week. I need to do 40. That's why you hear about it, Dave, is I'm struggling with it. He had said why he doesn't know why he's hearing about it. Well, I'm hearing about it. You're hearing about it because it's a struggle for me to bring myself from 14 years of 70-hour work weeks down to even 40 hours. I feel guilty. I feel like little pinches in the back of my head. I'm just like, I need to get this done. It's not going to do itself. If I don't do it, it doesn't get done. And then that whole mentality, and that's an entrepreneurial mentality. And in order to be a successful business, you have to have that mentality. So if I'm going to survive doing this, I have to be thinking about getting things done that make things grow, which doesn't necessarily pay off in the short term. It's a long-term thing. But that's a whole other video to talk about. So, one last thing. Have a nice motherfucking day. And shit. And don't go over that cliff. There's bad shit down there. I'm looking over the cliff and I'm like, I don't want to go down there. That sucks.